What would you do if your partner's family constantly undermined and insulted you in a language they assumed you didn't understand? In today's story, our protagonist's choice is a masterclass in how to handle such a betrayal. My name is Clara, and my husband, Peter, and I have been married for 3 years now. We have a beautiful son, and at 27, I was pregnant with our second child. I'm from Western Canada, and Peter, who is 29, is German. We had made our life in Canada, but with the rising inflation, moving back to his home country seemed like the more sensible option for our growing family. We found a lovely house in Hanover, Peter's hometown, and eagerly anticipated our new beginning. The day after we landed in Germany, we headed straight to Peter's family home. This was only the second time I had met them, the first being at our wedding. They welcomed us warmly, fussing over our son, and let us inside. After a pleasant dinner, we left to settle into our new house. Over the next few months, our visits to Peter's family became frequent. It was during these visits that I began to notice something unsettling. They would often speak about me in German, assuming I couldn't understand. Their comments were rude, targeting my hair and makeup, dissecting my fashion choices, and generally being very unkind. They even made mean remarks about my pregnant belly, a topic I was already quite insecure about. I couldn't let it continue. I spoke to Peter, telling him how much their treatment bothered me, how I hated being judged for every choice I made. He assured me he would talk to them. To my surprise, the next time we visited his parents, the hurtful comments had stopped. For about 3 months, it was as if the unpleasantness had never happened. Then, our perfect baby girl arrived, and we named her Lilith. When Peter's family heard the name, they were visibly upset. Lilith, in some interpretations, means ghost or of the night. We hadn't chosen the name for its meaning, but because it was a cherished tradition in my family. My middle name is Lilith, as is my mother's, grandmother's, and even my great-grandmother's. For a while, I avoided visiting my in-laws, not wanting to endure their criticisms about my daughter's name. This reveals their greatest fatal flaw, their arrogance, which ultimately sealed their fate. Yesterday, however, we had to see them again. It was my mother-in-law, Helga's, birthday. As soon as we arrived, things quickly deteriorated. Everyone clamored to hold Lilith, which upset Helga because she felt ignored, and it overwhelmed me. I was struggling with postpartum depression and wasn't ready for so many people to be holding my newborn. I allowed them to look at her, but politely declined when they asked to hold her. During dinner, I overheard Peter's sister, Anya, talking to Helga in German. Anya was complaining about not being able to hold my baby. Then, she said something that made my blood run cold. She had the audacity to call me, and I quote, a fat ugly hokey addict. At that moment, a switch flipped inside me. I turned directly to Anya and Helga, my voice steady, and addressed them in fluent German. I told them that I had always known what they were saying about me, but their name-calling was the absolute last straw. I also casually mentioned that I had known German for almost my entire life. The entire table erupted instantly. People started yelling at me, apparently believing that this was all my fault. Peter and I left immediately, and we haven't spoken to them since. As one commenter, Estro17, aptly put it, assholes are never wrong. They remain assholes by refusing to ever take ownership of their own words or actions, so they never have to change. They can be as judgmental and insulting as they want because they're right, and anyone who challenges them must be at fault. So of course it's your fault that they were insulting you. They couldn't possibly have been in the wrong. Sorry you married into a family of assholes. And as Watching Telly now commented, do they really think you wouldn't learn the language of the country where you live? They have been extremely rude to you and about you. You are definitely NTA. I think your husband needed to grow a shiny spine as soon as they started and should have told them off instantly. So he's a bit of an A, or at very least a total wuss. The truth is, hearing people when they talk can't make one an a-hole. Holding your tongue for a while, hearing people blatantly insulting and hating you in your actual presence, can't make one an a-hole. Eventually having enough and having other people hear, you can't make one an a-hole. The core lesson here is that honesty, even when uncomfortable, can expose uncomfortable truths. What would you have done in Clara's situation? Let me know in the comments below.